I'm Frances Royle, and today I'll be discussing the 7 modes, sometimes known as the church modes, which can be derived from the 7 notes used in the Western major scale. First of all, I should explain the concept of the octave. The octave is the most basic of all intervals, an interval being the distance between 2 notes. It can be obtained by doubling or halving the length of a string or pipe. The shorter of these 2 strings or pipes will produce a note an octave above the one twice its length, vibrating twice as many times per second, the ratio between them being 2 to 1, the simplest ratio possible. For example, in modern Western practice, concert A, the A above middle C, is often tuned to vibrate 440 times per second. The A an octave above would then vibrate 880 times per second, and the A an octave below 220 times. To our ears, this simple ratio makes the octave consonant to the point that we perceive the 2 notes as being practically the same, but with one higher than the other. In musical cultures around the world, there are many different ways of dividing the octave into smaller intervals, resulting in anywhere from 5 different notes, known as pentatonic, to 24 within the octave. The division of the octave into 7 different notes, the 8th one being an octave above the 1st, is a practice dating back well over 2,000 years. The ancient Greeks were the first to use alphabetical names for the notes of a scale, and this practice was adopted by Western church musicians in the Middle Ages, using the first 7 letters of the Roman alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, with the notes an octave higher given the same names. This division of the octave into 7 different notes used whole tones and semitones, and the semitones were separated by at least 2 whole tones. No one seems to know why, when this system was adopted, it was decided to assign the letter names so as to place the semitones between B and C and E and F. But that's the system. I should mention that at this time, the letter names were not associated with specific pitches. Rather, they conveyed to the reader the relative pitch of the notes of a chant, with singers choosing a starting note that would put the chant in a good range for singing. Later, when pitch came to be more standardized, and more sharps and flats, which raise or lower the pitch by a semitone, were introduced, the modes were often transposed and would start on different letter names while preserving the order of whole tones and semitones. Dorian, Phrygian, Lydian, and Mixolydian modes were the ones originally used in the medieval church chants. Dorian mode is used in Gregorian chants, folk songs and dances, some modern art music, and also what is known as modal jazz. Probably the best-known folk song in Dorian mode is Scarborough Fair. This is the scale it's based on. And this is Scarborough Fair. Phrygian mode is generally less commonly used, although it features largely in the flamenco music of Spain. The Japanese folk song, Sakura, could be considered to be in either Aeolian mode or Phrygian mode, depending on whether the first note or the last note, A and E respectively, is taken to be the keynote. I've harmonized the song in such a way as to emphasize the final E, bringing out its Phrygian quality. Again, here's the scale on which it's based. And this is Sakura. Lydian mode is also not widely used, although composers sometimes temporarily raise the fourth note of the major scale for a Lydian effect. It can be heard in some Eastern European folk music, as well as art music of the 20th and 21st centuries. The following harmonized Gregorian chant is in Lydian mode. Here's the scale it's based on. And here's the chant. Mixolydian mode is much more commonly used, especially in Scottish and Irish fiddle and folk music. Modern-day composers often use this mode to give their music an authentic folk sound, and it is also featured in some pop music, such as the following. That was part of the song You Really Got Me by the Kinks. My first complete example in Mixolydian mode is a traditional bluegrass tune called Old Joe Clark in an arrangement by Zav RT, also known as Zavalena Huscroft, who hails from British Columbia. Here's the scale it's based on.